Good morning. This is Berwick My D, life coach artist. Some people call me Mr. Mirror, relationship coach. And this morning I want to share a very profound story about my life with you that represents one of those landmark moments where I've had a major shift in my perspective, where things were brought home for me in a way that I never thought they'd be brought home to me. One day I just got through doing a short talk on fatherhood with a group of about 30 black men. And in the talk, I sort of I bragged about being a great father and how I spend a lot of time with my daughters, attend every event that they have when at all possible, did the tea time thing, played with dolls, the whole 9 yards. And so in my mind, I thought I was a good father. And I know probably many of us as fathers probably think we are because, we spend time with our kids and we provide for them and we do all those things. So on the checklist, I thought I would check that. Yes, I'm a good father. And so one day, on that day, when I left the presentation and, guys were really feeling what I was sharing with them, I picked my daughter up, who at the time, my oldest daughter, was in high school during the time. And I picked her up as I normally did every day after school. Picked her up, and when she got into the car, her name is Naja. I was like, Naja, I want Daddy to have a question for you. And I said, here's the question. And I said, listen, I want to tell you something. Before I ask you the question, I want you to be honest with me because Daddy really wants to know the truth. And I want you to know that I'm not going to get upset no matter what you tell me because I really just want to hear what you have to say. And here was the question I asked her. I said, am I a good father? She paused for a second. She says, Daddy, I'm glad you asked me that question. I was like, oh, dog, right? If you know my daughter, when she says that, there's trouble coming. So she says, I've been thinking about that. And I said, what do you mean by that? She says, I just been thinking about whether or not if you're a good father or not. And I said, well, tell me, am I a good father? Now, let me be honest with you. When I asked her the question, the reality was I wasn't looking for her to tell me her truth. What I was looking for her to tell me was, yes, sure, you're a good father. Yes, Dad, you are a great father. And I wanted her to pat me on the back because I was feeling that way from that presentation earlier that day. Little did I know that my world was about to be rocked. So she said to me, she says, I'm glad you asked me that question. She said, you know what, Dad, the truth is you are a lousy father. Now, let me tell you something that blew my mind. It blew my mind. I almost wanted to pull the car on the side of the road. I became upset. My voice started getting high. And then I had to remember what I promised her, brought my voice back down, apologized to her. And I said to her, would you please tell me what makes me such a lousy father? She said, that's easy. She says, Dad, you don't listen to anything. I was like, wow. She says, you get into the car, you ask me how my day was, and before I could even tell you how my day was, you're already on the cell phone with one of your clients or talking to somebody. And what you do is you pretend to listen. She says, I've been watching this for a long time. She says, I tell you things, I've tested you. I tell you things and I come back and I quiz you on it. And you've demonstrated over and over again that you were only pretending to listen to me. You haven't been really listening to me. And she says, you know what? I come to realize that I am not that important to you. Wow. That blew me away because my children are everything to me. But yet she was able to conclude, and the reality is if you're not paying attention, if you're not listening, then you're not demonstrating what is necessary for a voice to hear and know that that voice is important. She says, you're pretending to listen. She says, so many times I've quizzed you, and what I realized is that you weren't listening. You were just looking in my eyes and pretending to listen. And this was the thing she told me that blew me away that I really want to share with you. Is that if someone would have asked me how close were me and my daughter, I would have said that we were that close because we were always going places together. When you see one, you see the other. That was like, we were like that in my mind. Here's what she said to me that blew my mind. She says, "You think we are close, Dad, and we're not close at all. You don't even know me." Now I want to tell you something that broke my heart. It broke my heart because the last thing I wanted to be was in close proximity to my daughter, but yet miles away spiritually from my daughter. There are so many parents today that are in close proximity to their children, but miles away from their children. And they're experiencing what it feels like, or the side effects of being in close proximity physically, but yet spiritually and mentally far, far apart. When my daughter told me that, it shocked me. But it was the wake-up call that I needed. You don't know what kind of services you're providing as a company until you do a customer service evaluation, until you start asking your customers to rate your service. So me as a parent, when I asked my customer, because your children are your customers as parents, but we never ask them, what is it like being in our life? So when I asked her, to tell me if I was a good father, essentially what I was asking was, what is it like being my daughter? And what is it like me being your father? And she said, basically, I was a toothache, because I was making her life hard because I wasn't listening to her. Get that every human being that you will ever meet is a voice, and there's nothing more important to a voice than being heard. There's nothing that sends a signal to the voice more than you paying attention to the voice. So, as parents, we multitask and we pretend to listen. And here's the thing that I thought I was getting away with it. I thought I was getting away with pretending to listen to people. I would look at people straight in the eyes and shake my head and say things, yeah. And I wasn't even listening to nothing they were saying. And I know a lot of you are. And that's the reason why I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing this with you because nothing transformed my life more than this. And it was that day that I realized something. If I was not close to my daughter and I thought I was, who else was I not close to that I thought I was close to? And what I discovered was just about everyone around me, because I was pretending to listen to just about everyone around me. So I made up my mind. I did something very radical. I'm not suggesting you do the same thing, but my spirit moved me to do this. And this is what I did. I went on a 3-year talking diet. That's right. For 3 years, I went on a talking diet. Now, what does that mean? That didn't mean I shut up for 3 years. No, it means that I reduced my talking to 20% and increased my listening to 80%. And I started doing a lot to listen more to people. So even though I was doing presentations around the country and I would only say that what was necessary, and the rest of the time I would listen. And you could ask some of my colleagues who I train with and work with, they would tell you during that time, they would beg me and try to push me to say more than what I was saying. But I was so committed to my diet of listening that I wanted to listen more and talk less. And when I listened more and talked less, I discovered I was missing my life. That my life was flashing before me and I was about to miss it. And I want to say the same thing to you, that when you start listening, you become present to your life and you become present to the people in your life. And you begin to understand that the real value in this world is not money or material things. The real value is people. More specifically, your relationships with people, starting first with the relationship with yourself. Some of you don't even listen to yourself. You want other people to listen to you, and you have not listened to you. You have not put into operation the very advice you've given to other people. You have not applied it to yourself first. If you applied the things that you said to others to yourself, you would be in a place far better than you are right now. But you're not, because you're pretending to listen. Listen, none of us are going to get away with pretending to listen. I wasn't getting away with it. Neither are you. Our children are worth listening to. You are worth listening to. Your voice is the thing that really determines how powerful you're going to be, and how much listening you receive from yourself and others is what also impacts the influence of your voice. I want to share that with you today, and I want you to go out into the world and work on reducing your talking and amplifying your listening. Peace.